The following podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. Like what you hear? Want more of it ad-free, uncensored, and earlier? Sign up today at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and start getting more for as little as $2 a month. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for your main event, where news and opinions on the sport of kings collide. WrestleMedia is proud to present The Wrasslun Show. Welcome to The Wrasslun Show, part of WrestleMedia, where everything is wrestling, and wrestling is everything. I'm at Adam Kota. That's at Matthew Sukram. Matt, how you doing this week?
Well, bedtime was better.
Yeah.
Less tantrums with the babies.
You were a little stressed out last week.
Yeah, but I'm better. And here's the thing. Maybe it's because I was by myself with the kids for most of the night, and my wife was out of town during the day, so she didn't get home until we were almost done with that time. And that's when I started thinking that I think my wife gets them more riled up than I do, because she is more like Miss Frizzle, where everything is amazing and look at what the babies are doing. Oh my God, they're having so much fun. Where I'm like...
Also, she drives a magic school bus.
She does.
And has a pet...
That just helps.
And has a pet
and
lizard.
has a pet lizard, yes. And I am more like the Ben Stein, but instead of Bueller, it's babies, quiet, babies, quiet.
And the funny thing for anybody who used to watch the old Comedy Network, they also win Ben Stein's money every chance they get, because they just take it right from your wallet.
They absolutely do. They have figured out that Daddy keeps things they want in his pocket. Like, they go into my pocket to get my phone.
They're obsessed with phones. Kids are obsessed with cell phones.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Although it really makes a lot of sense. It's a big flashing light and noise machine. Like,
yes,
right?
That's exactly it. Yeah. And we do limit their screen time, but yeah, they...
Wait a minute. How old are your children?
2.
And I just love that we live in an age where your children are 2 years old and you're like, we have to limit their screen time.
Other people don't.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying it's funny to me, just the idea that at 2 years old, we're like, yeah, we got to cut back on the screen time. It's just such a pervasive part of our culture now. You know what I'm saying?
It is. Yeah, I totally get that. But yeah, no, we do way more learning-based play and outside play than we do screen-based learning, which is going to be basically probably 95% of their learning when they get to school.
Well, not only their learning, but interaction and I mean, look at us. Like, anybody listening to this podcast right now could also be watching it on our YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you haven't yet, you should go over to and subscribe and hit the little notification bell so that you can be notified every time we put out a new video, including the YouTube version of this podcast. Thanks for the segue, Matt. Appreciate that.
I love setting them up for you to knock them out of the park.
So where's your wife on this evening? You're here doing the podcast with me. The babies aren't in the room. Where's Pickles?
So she is out running.
Now wait a minute.
And you know what? I'm pretty proud of her because.
Hold on. Why is she running? Why is she running outside, Matt? You and I, in the wintertime, got together and dragged a treadmill from a friend's house to your home. It took us all night. We had to take the damn thing apart and then put it back together.
We took off her door and then didn't put it back on, too.
Right. We just were like, forget this. So why isn't she using the treadmill?
Well, here's the thing, and this is why I'm proud of her. She is gearing up to run a half marathon in Ottawa at the end of the month, at the end of August, actually.
Okay.
And so the thing with the training is apparently, and I don't know, I only play fake sports like baseball and wrestling.
Right.
So apparently you can't do all your training on a treadmill. You have to, you actually have to do some of it on terrain.
What?
And like, because they have like natural hills and stuff, and I don't know. She's the track coach. She knows what she's doing. So apparently, but when she said I'm gonna go out for a run, I said, why don't you just use the treadmill? And then she goes, because A, you're gonna be down there and it's probably gonna make a lot of noise, and B, I don't want to hear you talk about wrestling.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right, well, I'll give it up in that. Okay, if you want to hear us talk about wrestling, well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. One, stick around, because we got the second part of our exclusive interview with James Stone, Scrapper James Stone, who is going to be a big part of Fighting Back 9, which, by the way, Matt, I don't know if you heard, has officially sold out.
That's amazing.
And 100% of every one of those sold out tickets goes to the Canadian Cancer Society. We're going to be there, crammed in there with everybody, packed into the St. Anthony's Banquet Hall like sardines at 523 St. Anthony Street in Ottawa. I'd say go get your tickets, but you can't, baby. It's sold out completely. But thank you. I want to quickly thank anybody who listened to this show and bought themselves a ticket or two. Maybe you got one of those cool VIP packages with Cody. That's going to be an incredible collector's item there. Anybody who got tickets to this show, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm told this is the first time ever that Fighting Back has sold out. And that's pretty incredible. I'm really, really proud that WrestleMedia is going to have a presence there in Ottawa on August the 16th for that, to celebrate an incredible event and an incredible... I don't know what the word I'm looking for is here. It's just an incredible, I want to say like accepted challenge, but that even seems wrong.
Achievement?
There you go. That's the word. Thank you. An incredible achievement from...
Words is not our life.
Yes, exactly right. It's not like we talk, every week about this stuff. An incredible achievement from C4. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of the fans. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to promote the heck out of this event, because it's an incredible event and everybody who is a part of it deserves to be championed and deserves to have a spotlight thrown on them. And that's what we're doing with James Stone. Of course, it's not the only event we're going to be at that weekend. The very next day, we're going to be at the Chinlock Wrestling Academy at 824 Palace Road in Napanee for Fallout. In the main event, CJ Felony defends his Cale Murphy Memorial Championship against Jan Murphy. Yeah, the promoter is going to step into the ring and fight for his brother's honor. You can still get your tickets right now. $15. That's it. Great price for a great show. Of course, that is going to be coming up in just a few weekends. Man, I can't believe that in less than 2 weeks, man, it's SummerSlam time. And we are going to be at two incredible events that week as well. Starting off with Thursday, August the 8th at the Transact Club at 292 Brunswick Avenue in Toronto. It's the Union of Independent Professional Wrestlers presenting their show Never Say Never. It's a 19-plus show, so if you're the kind of person that loves listening to The Lasting Mark Uncensored, well, maybe this will be the show for you. And by the way, if you want to get a pair of tickets to this show, all you have to do is go back and listen to the latest episode of The Lasting Mark, get yourself the code word, and head on over to that page at WrestleMedia.ca, and boom, enter it right now. Maybe you're sitting there going to yourself, ooh, I want to get that early. Well, we'll tell you a way that you can do it in just a minute, because we want to first tell you about how a few days after that, on Saturday, August the 10th, we're also going to be at the Midtown Event Center at 2492 Yonge Street in Toronto for what I can only assume is going to be the greatest collection of women's wrestling and women's wrestlers all summer long. It's the Summit. Smash Wrestling, Rise Wrestling, Femme Fatales, Shimmer Women's Athletes, all getting together, plus wrestling legend Bull Nakano. This is going to be an absolute incredible show. We're going to be there. We're so proud to be there and be a part of it as well. Visit smash-wrestling.com. That's smash-wrestling.com for more details and to get your tickets. If you want tickets to the Union show, you can visit wrestlersunion.ca, or you can go and enter that code word. If you want to get it early, well, there's a good way to do that. Put a few ducats in the bucket over at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. That's the way you can support us financially while getting some cool stuff yourself, like early access to episodes, additional bonus content, and even shows that only certain tiers get access to. So go see what all the hype is about over at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. All right, Matt, we're going to take a quick break. For anybody who is listening to us for free, or in our uncut tier, for those of you who pay for the ad-free version, you're just going to hear a quick little blip, and then it's James Stone, baby, coming right up. Part 2 of the interview. Hey, this is a commercial for patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca, where you can get early access to episodes of your favorite WrestleMedia shows, get full uncut and uncensored versions of your favorite shows, and more. Don't want to hear this commercial on your podcast anymore? Sign up at our main event tier and get these episodes ad-free. Want to hear your own commercial here instead of ours? We've got tiers for that too. Visit patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and join the WrestleMedia revolution today. Looking back on it now, do you feel like you were ready for the opportunity to prove yourself as a single, or were there aspects about it that kind of caught you off guard?
I think I was ready. It was always in the back of my mind. And I feel like I kind of learned how to... you're always learning, man. Even at this stage, mentally I was ready. I felt like I had to have a couple big matches under my belt to kind of gain that confidence. Because that's all it is, man. Once you get on a roll and you put some good matches on your belt, and I'm not talking like 8-10 minute matches. I'm talking 15, 20, 25-minute matches where you could just kind of lay it all out there. Once you get a couple of those under your belt, I find it's easier to just keep that momentum going. I guess momentum is kind of the key for yourself and the way a crowd looks at you.
Do you remember those matches, the ones you're talking about, that really helped build your confidence? Do you remember who they were against? Do you remember anything about them specifically?
Yeah, man. I had a good series of matches with Dash Bison at Acclaim. Just main event stuff. I got to wrestle Stu Grayson a ton this year, which he's one of my favorite opponents. Frankie, once again, he's one of my best friends, but if keeping that at a distance, he's a great performer and talent, and he's one of the most fun guys I've ever worked with. I got to work with Speedball recently, and Tull is also one of my favorite opponents. So yeah, it's just guys who hit hard, guys who can go, and guys who don't bore crowds. Yeah.
Who do you like to ride with now that you're out of a tag team? Most teams tend to travel together. Is there a specific group of guys outside of that circle that you hang with, or is it mostly in that kind of tight knit that you had mentioned earlier?
It's that group. I ride a lot with John Rukin. I ride a lot with. It's hard to not call them Smash Bros, but Dark Order. I'm that kind of group. Those guys.
I want to talk about your personal life a little bit. You got a kid, and he's still pretty young. And I wanted to, yeah, exactly, 3 years old, still a youngin', still a rookie, in life. And I wanted to ask about how having a kid affected you from a professional standpoint, or did it affect you from a professional standpoint?
Yeah, it changes everything, absolutely everything in your life. There are a lot of things in I don't want to say this business because it makes you sound like you're trying to be a big shot, but there's a lot of things that can get to you. There's a lot of little things that could kind of eat away at your mental health. And in retrospect, all those things are trivial, and I found that most of my life I put wrestling ahead of everything. And this was the one thing that I just absolutely couldn't. And that becoming the most important thing in the world, kind of all those little trivial things, those little hang-ups that you get because you're in this business and stuff, they kind of just faded away because they don't seem as important anymore. And that fact on its own kind of helped me excel because, when you're when you're not harping over something so hard, that's usually when things start to come around and work for you. Just it's weird that like not putting wrestling first is kind of making me succeed a bit more. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because if you want, it's like anything in life. Like if you want something so bad and you obsess over it and then you obsess over it, you know, it's going to be harder to attain. In the sense of like being desperate, I guess. You know, I'm not saying don't work hard for your dreams and stuff like that.
Can you maybe expand on that a little bit more? Because I find that fascinating,
Sure.
that idea that if you become obsessed with something, because I get what you're saying, but I just would, I do find that's a very interesting take on things, that the idea that if you become too obsessed with something, then it can actually hinder your progress a little bit. Yeah,
it's if you become obsessed in an unhealthy way. You know, obviously there's like a ton of people that are successful and it's because they've been obsessed, but I meant in the sense that like letting things get to you, you know, stuff like, you know, not liking the way you're booked or like not liking the way this promoter like treats you or just like the way this guy talked to you or like just stuff like that, just little things. I guess maybe having a kid kind of made me grow up a little more and, you know, kind of simplified things.
I love that answer. That's a phenomenal answer.
It simplifies things. It really does. It puts things in perspective.
Has your kid shown any interest in wrestling at all? In terms of like, does he like it? Does he watch it? Or is he just kind of oblivious to the whole thing? He
has no idea. He's kind of like, he sees it on TV and he's like, can I watch Paw Patrol? Yeah, he doesn't give it, which is great. I don't care. I don't really want him to be a wrestler.
Do you want him to see you wrestle before you hang it up?
Yeah, I'd like him to see me wrestle. I think it's a tough life, so it's not something I'd really like for him. He seems to like music, so I'm kind of going to try and kick him in that direction.
Let's talk about music, because obviously it's a big influence in your life, not only personally but professionally. Talk a little bit about how music, specifically heavy metal, has been an influence for you.
Well, here's the thing. I might lose a few fans because of this. I'm not really into heavy metal. I'm a classic rock and grunge guy. The heavy metal chaos part of the team was kind of like, you know, Alex is heavy metal and I'm the chaos portion of it. That was kind of the idea at the beginning. I know people, in retrospect, we didn't make that clear. And I know people kind of think that I'm this metalhead because guys come up to me all the time at shows like, are you going to see Slayer? And I'm like, no, I'm going to go watch Pearl Jam. Yeah. But, that's kind of more my style.
What do you think is the heaviest? How heavy do you go? What do you think is the heaviest band that you listen to? Because you said classic rock. A lot of classic rock could be classified into metal.
Yeah, but I really love Sabbath.
Okay, well there you go. So like that's the Godfathers of metal right there. So I think your metal I think your metal cred card is still okay. I think you still check out with that. That's fine.
It depends because like, you know, Sabbath back in the day was heavy, but now it's kind of like tame compared to like some of the insanity you hear where it's just like loud. Like I don't want to be like one of those guys that are like it just sounds like noise, but I mean it's a little ridiculous. I
personally think that it still falls within the category is what that's my personal take on it is that, listen.
No, I would 100% agree with you. I would definitely think someone would disagree with me. With us.
It's that show, the Evolution of Metal that was out on Much Music not that long ago. You know, there's different classifications. There's different glam metal and, you know, it's all different. It's just a matter of what you like.
There's just so many like categories and subcategories, and like it drives me insane. You know. I can tell you, like every time I hear War Pigs, I go nuts, and and like no, not many songs do that for me. You know.
Absolutely.
The Evolution drives me crazy. I don't think it's like a metal song, obviously, but
see, and there's a lot of people. No, why are you apologizing, man? This is great.
I'm cutting you off.
No, come on. We're having a conversation now. Now it's getting good. We're chatting about music, which is awesome. And in very much the same way, it's like pro wrestling, right? I mean, it's not just, it's not just one, wrestling is not just one banner. There's, lucha libre, there's deathmatch wrestling, there's, catch as catch can, British Commonwealth style. There's all kinds of styles out there, and it's whatever you're kind of into.
And I used to play music, and it's very much similar to wrestling in the sense of like the way performers kind of like have to psych themselves out, and the way some people are just absolutely delusional, and the way you know what I mean. So the way some people take themselves too seriously, and it's like it's really very similar.
All right, let's have some fun then. James Stone, Scrapper James Stone. Compare who's your music equivalent?
Oh geez, don't do that. Music equivalent.
Yeah.
Who could that be?
That's what I'm asking you. Nobody knows better than you.
I don't know, man. I would say he's like, I don't know why I was thinking Trent Reznor. There's really no reason other than he's like really jacked. Is he still jacked?
I mean, last time I saw him, he was still looking pretty good. Yeah. Okay.
Man, I saw him at the Bell Center like 8 years ago, and I was pretty far, and he just looked like arms holding a guitar. Like I was like, man, he looks huge.
It's always weird when you run into somebody who you like looks so much smaller on TV, and then you meet them in real life. You're like, oh my god, you're actually like gigantic.
That's like everybody I've ever met. Like I remember meeting Christian in person on a show, and like he was just a giant guy. Even X-Pac, we saw like X-Pac did a show in Montreal, and he was big. Yeah.
I felt that same way about Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn, TV does not do justice to that guy. He's huge.
No, Billy Gunn's a gigantic human being.
Oh my god,
it makes no sense. It really makes no sense. I got a funny story about Billy Gunn. He did a show for NCW, and a wrestler who didn't know any better that I won't call out, he walks up to him, and I don't know if you've ever met Billy Gunn. He's kind of keeps to himself. He's not really like a overly friendly guy. And he walks up to Billy Gunn and he goes, "Hey Billy, we have the same finishing move." And Billy just looked at him in complete disgust and was like, "Yeah," and just turned around. And I could vividly remember Matthew St. Jacques' face, like just like looking around to see if anybody like captured this moment as well. And it's just a story we still talk about. You said Billy Gunn. I'm like, I have to tell this story. It's ridiculous.
I'm so glad you did. We actually interviewed Billy not long ago for the show, and he was a tremendous guest. But you're absolutely right. He's got such a very dry sense of humor, and you're right. He's very polite, very nice guy, but he doesn't. You're right. He is very much a loner, very much kind of keeps to himself and in his own space, kind of thing. But a great guy. Loved having him on the show.
Why would he care that you do his finishing?
Yeah, why would you even volunteer that information? Like, that's supposed to be a no-no. You're not supposed to be like, oh yeah, we're doing the same thing. Yeah,
no, dude,
right.
It's one of those things where someone does something so cringeworthy that you're just like mega embarrassed for them and kind of upset. But it's a story I repeat quite often, so he gave me a gift.
There you go. Over the last 20 years, have you ever had one of those cringeworthy moments you care to talk about on the show? Ever had one of those moments where you're like, oh, I can't believe I did that? Like
me doing something stupid?
Yeah.
Thankfully, no. I could remember some interesting encounters, like shaking Abdullah the Butcher's hand and then him just screaming, "Leave me the f*** alone!" And
wait, what was the context of that? Was it backstage at a show somewhere?
He was at a show, and he was looking kind of rough, and me and this guy, one of my best friends, he used to wrestle. His name is Samson. We were taught to like shake everybody's hands and all that. And so I went and shook his hand, and he looked a little irritated. But then my buddy George shook his hand, and he goes, and he goes, "Hi, it's nice to meet you, sir." And he goes, "Hello." And then to his credit, he just looks at him and goes, "Man, I don't even like you anyway." And he kind of just like walked away. Yeah, like some of the best things about being a wrestler is meeting wrestlers, and it's simultaneously the worst thing.
But then you get a story like Abdullah the Butcher cursing you out for shaking his hand, so works out okay.
Yeah.
It balances out.
All kinds of wacky stuff.
You talked about Nine Inch Nails in Montreal. Best concert you ever been to? Is there another one that tops it?
I would say it was one of the most, theatrically, one of the best shows I've ever seen. Like, the light show was incredible. I'm a giant Pearl Jam fan, so that question is going to be automatically Pearl Jam.
Awesome.
I saw them, when did I see them last? They did like a Quebec, Ottawa tour, like right before my son was born, so it was probably like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. I saw them at Wrigley Field. That was great.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Drove 15 hours to... It was the first time I drove that long to not wrestle. Yeah, so that was cool.
What, you got like a favorite Pearl Jam song, album? Like what really gets you for Pearl Jam?
I won't say 10 because everybody loves 10. I really like Yield, and there's not many I don't like, really. I would say I listen to Yield a lot, and probably Vitology.
It's funny because the reason I asked that is because I take heat from people sometimes because I like Pearl Jam too, but I'm actually a bigger fan of their newer stuff. I feel like they've gotten better as they've gone on, to be honest with you. But I mean,
like the songs themselves, I like. If you don't like, because like you got to think, man, these guys were like 20 years old when they started writing music, and now they're all like in their 50s. Like, of course, they're not going to write the same.
Yeah,
it's impossible. But I can tell you, like, as musicians, and like, everybody gets on Eddie Vedder's voice because for like, when everybody imitates him, they do that stupid voice.
Yeah, they get the growl, they do the growl. Yeah.
But in reality, that's because of two songs. It's because of Yellow Ledbetter,
mm-hmm.
and it's because of Jeremy.
Yeah.
So like, but if you listen to all their stuff, he's got an amazing voice. And as he's gotten older, I know there's people rolling their eyes right now. Oh, like there will be. I know there will be. But like, as he's gotten older, he's great, Well,
I mean, I take a song like Just Breathe, and it's like, that song makes me cry. Like, I love that song. Man. It's so powerful. And, so that's me. Like, I mean, that's the Pearl Jam I like. I like I like old Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, he's great.
He is. There's nothing wrong with him. Absolutely. Real quick, I want to talk a little bit about Marvel, because anybody can just anybody creeps your Facebook page for 5 minutes. They can tell you're a big Marvel and superhero mark. So tell me where that obsession, where did that start?
Very young. I've always been into superheroes. When I was a kid, it's funny because kind of like wrestling, your reasons for loving things change.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're a kid, you think practical. So you're like, well, I like Superman because he's like, he can do anything. He's invincible. He can fly, and he does all this crap. And then, like, as you get older, you kind of like, you're like, well, Spider-Man's more like me. He's a dude. Like, he's got these cool powers, but he can't pay his rent. So then I kind of like quickly transitioned into Marvel because they're like just people with powers, whereas like DC characters are just like, they're primarily superheroes. You know what I mean? They're
more fantastical, whereas Marvel stuff is more down to earth. It's more realistic.
That's it. It's like, this is Peter Parker, but he just happens to have powers. But like, you don't necessarily come to the story because of his powers,
The way it's kind of like DC, you go to a DC, or DC's focus is the superhero, whereas Marvel's focus is the alter ego. It's about the person behind the mask. Which
is why I think they've gained so much success. like, take the movies, for example, like, they very rarely ever call them by their actual superhero names.
Yeah.
It's always like Steve, Tony, Peter. It's like, there's a reason for that. It's so, like, you're like, oh yeah, I want Peter to be all right. You know, it's not like there's just like a disconnect when you kind of put these fantastical names.
Absolutely understood on that. And I agree with you 100%. I think that that's a big part of what has made the MCU such an absolute success. So, of course, now I got to ask, do you have a favorite superhero? Is it Spider-Man? Because you mentioned him already. Is he like your guy?
He's definitely there. I kind of like didn't care about Captain America until the movies, because I feel like they kind of, like, he's easy to kind of portray as like a Boy Scout.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that was something that Marvel understands that I don't think DC has gotten yet with Superman. Is that,
no, that's it.
Yeah, Superman.
Nobody likes squeaky clean.
Well,
Nobody likes squeaky clean.
Well, and that's the thing. And yet, Captain America, who is completely squeaky clean, still manages to get our enthusiasm, and we're still interested in him. We still want to see him succeed. And I think a lot of it has to do with the portrayal as well. Like, Chris Evans is able to take that character and do it in a way that makes us go, man, he's just the best of us. Like, he doesn't get into that Boy Scout territory, but he does make us go, I want to be like Captain America.
Well, like, Boy Scout would be like if he was, like, you know, I'm an American, so I gotta do what America wants me to do. But, like, he just has this strong moral sense that kind of, like, even if his country is against it, he still stands with it, you know?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's like when they did the whole Winter Soldier thing and they found out about Hydra infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. He wasn't like, well, I'm a S.H.I.E.L.D. man, so I'm just going to go along with the program. He was like, no, this is wrong, and I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. And that's, I think, something that's very admirable for people, especially in this day and age, right?
Yeah. As far as standalones go, though, Winter Soldier's the best.
He's a really unique character, and I think that a lot of people miss that about him, is that, you know, he's very complex, and I'm really excited to see what they do with him coming up in the Disney Plus series, which is something else I wanted to ask you about, is what'd you think of the announcement for Phase 4 and the Disney Plus series that they're going to be releasing next?
I was excited. There's a real hole, there's a void without, like, Robert Downey Jr. and Captain America. That what if thing is intriguing to me, because I'm kind of hoping they do, like, a Cap story about him going back in time.
Yeah, like to find out, like, what he did when he went back after Endgame. Is that what you mean? Yeah,
I'm really hoping they do that, so then you could just get, like, one more Cap story with Chris Evans, even if it's a cartoon.
That'd be all right. I'd be okay with that. That'd be fun.
Yeah. That'd be sweet.
Those are the series. Which of the Phase 4 movies that they announced are you most excited about?
Probably Doctor Strange, because they announced that Elizabeth Olsen's going to be in it.
Yeah. I'm real excited to see what they do with her.
Yeah. I was surprised about Blade. I didn't care about Blade until I saw that they chose, I always screw up his name, Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't care until they casted him, because I thought he was great in Daredevil. Was he in Daredevil? No, he was in Luke Cage. What am I saying? Yeah.
He's a great actor either way.
Yeah.
And absolutely. I think that it's very interesting to see the slate and what they've done with it. I like that they, you know, outside of the Doctor Strange and the Black Widow movie, that they're really taking a chance with some real unknown properties, as well as some different twists on the characters. Like, you know, people will say, yeah, they're doing a Thor movie, but, you know, it's been kind of revealed Thor's not going to be the primary focus on that one. It's going to be Natalie Portman, who's going to be portraying the female Thor. And, you know, for everything else, you know, Eternals, like you said, people may be familiar with Blade, but if they've been following just the MCU, they probably aren't really familiar with that character. So there's a lot of different stuff that they're doing, which is awesome. And I'm pretty excited about it too as well. So now I have to ask, I asked about the favorite superhero. So I got to ask about what's your favorite MCU movie?
Man, I have them in, like, categories.
Tough. That's a tough one.
Standalones, I would say, like, Winter Soldier is the best.
I'd probably agree with that. It's got to be that or Guardians 2 for me.
Guardians is good too. I have probably watched Infinity War close to like 150 times.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But it's like it's not comparable, because it's just like it's this thing. It's just like this comic book event. Yeah, so it's like you can't really say it's like, oh, it's better than Captain America, because it's like it's not even close. It's not even close to being the same thing.
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of people have to consider when you're talking about the event movies and, well, let's be honest, the Avengers films, is that, it's a culmination, like you said. You spend a whole lot of time building up to this, and in the case of the Infinity War and Endgame saga, you spent 10 years, investing people into this for a payoff, and it's kind of a miracle that they were able to do it so well that people, didn't immediately reject it, and they were just kind of like, yes, that's awesome. I kind of dig that.
I tried explaining this to my wife, like, without sounding like a complete loser. But I was like, you don't understand. It's like 10 years I've been growing up with these people. And she's like, it's just a movie. I'm like, I know, but you don't get it.
But it's more than that. It's our modern mythos, in the way that, the Greeks and the Romans, had their legends and their Iliads and their Odysseys. That's what this is for our generation. It's our Odyssey. It's our Iliad. These are the stories and the characters and the mythical figures that are going to be passed down and talked about, and where we're going to learn our lessons from,
and no one's done this. Like, no one. Like,
absolutely.
Like, I don't care what, like, it's better than Star Wars. It's better than Harry Potter. It's just like, there's very few flaws in that whole lead up to Infinity War and Endgame. Like, you can watch, I don't know, how many Harry Potter movies are there?
I think there are 8. Yes, I better get that right, or my wife's going to kill me.
Yeah, there's a couple stinkers in there.
It's very hard to look at the whole MCU as a whole and find a lot of bad movies, because even the ones that people would say are the worst ones aren't bad movies. They're just not they're just not as good as the other movies, which is really saying something for sure. Like,
Thor 2 is good up until like the third act kind of falls apart. And then you're like, but I could still watch this. It's not unwatchable. It's not Suicide Squad.
No, you and we're right on the same page with this stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That movie made me so angry.
Oh yeah, it was the worst. I'm glad to. I will say this though: the fact that they brought James Gunn on to do the sequel will get me. We'll get them my $10 again, because I'll go see anything that James Gunn directs. I love that guy.
I'll go watch it, but I have no faith in anything they do.
Well, they're getting better. I mean, I haven't seen Aquaman yet, so I can't know. People have kind of told me that it's a lot better, but I liked Shazam a lot, and I liked Wonder Woman. I thought both of those were pretty good, and I didn't even hate Justice League, to be honest with you. I thought it was fun for what it was. Nowhere near on the same. Yeah, you didn't like it? Wasn't your cup of tea?
Man. It was crap.
Well, it's good. It's good to be passionate about sort of things. And clearly, we've talked a lot about different passions there, including, obviously, the one that we're all united by here on the show, which is pro wrestling. Let the people know who are talking to us, who are listening to you right now, where can they find you? Where can they reach out for you, whether that be on social media or at any upcoming events you're going to be a part of?
I'm on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. My Twitter handle is HMC Scrapper. Facebook's James Stone, and Instagram is Scrapper James Stone. I kind of just post updates about my shows and stuff. I'm going to be at Fighting Back and the next couple of Luto 7 shows, which is always fun. And you could see me at C4 in Ottawa, Acclaim, FLQ in Montreal, and you can find all that information on my social media.
Awesome, man. Anything else you want to plug or promote or talk about before we wrap things up today?
I hope there hasn't been a Fighting Back yet that has sold out, and I feel like this year is going to be it. And that would make all of us really happy if that happened. So I'm kind of I think it's going to happen, but I'm kind of hoping people kind of, make it happen.
There you have it. If you haven't bought your tickets to Fighting Back yet, do it for the Scrapper. For goodness sake. All right? Come on. James.
Yeah, it's a sweet show. Like, the main event is going to be MJF and Cody Rhodes against the Tabarnak team. those dudes deserve that match. It's going to be awesome. And
I think I think that's a big thing that a lot of people are kind of sleeping on with this show, is that, if you're looking at it thinking like, oh, I'm a fan of Cody, I like MJF, I like Joey Janela. Great. Get your tickets for those guys, but trust me when I say that, this is going to be an opportunity for you to be exposed to some talent that you may not have realized is really on that same level. TDT are definitely those guys. We talked about Uno and Stu are going to be on the show, and of course, James Stone. If you haven't had a chance to be exposed to James Stone, this is a chance to be exposed to him in a big, big way. So get your tickets now. Sell the show out. Let's help make this the biggest one yet. James, thanks so much for being on the show, man. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
And there you have it. More great words of wisdom from James Stone. A great interview. Clearly the guy is incredibly passionate about what he does, and what a story. His 20 years of wrestling continues. And it will at Fighting Back, as we had mentioned before. Go check him out. Go support him. He's a great wrestler, man. I think you'd really love his stuff. Whew, Matt, it has been an incredible journey. Are you just about ready to wrap this thing up and head over to our patrons section?
I just want to say, it's pretty incredible to be in wrestling for 20 years, but, I've been watching wrestling for 20 years.
And nobody's giving you a belt. Like, nobody's booking you.
I know.
What a ripoff. Boy.
Well, we will, here at WrestleMedia, do weddings.
Oh, we do now. I wasn't aware of this, but I'm glad you told me.
Remember, you said that about a month ago. You said you were emceeing a wedding, and then a couple weeks ago I emceed a wedding, and then we were like, WrestleMedia will do your weddings. We'll just set up a table, and I don't know what we'll do at your weddings, but we'll do your weddings. Well,
clearly, we'll bring you our latest thoughts and opinions on the world of pro wrestling. Hey, maybe we'll bring a name in. Maybe we can go get Scott Steiner to come work the table at your wedding. We've already talked about him.
Marriage is 2/4 of 1/3 of people coming together.
We're actually going to talk about Scott Steiner in the Patreon section of the episode, Matt. So hold on to your chainmail helmet for that one, because that's coming up as well. We'll do weddings for sure, but we'll also do a newsletter for free every single week at WrestleMedia.ca. Make sure you click on that link over at our official home, and then you will receive one every single week for free, bringing you all the biggest hits and latest news out of the world of WrestleMedia, exclusive previews, maybe even an exclusive contest or two, and a whole lot more. So check that out. And of course, you can support us over at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. And if you don't have any ducats to throw in the bucket, no problem. You can support us another way, and that is rating and reviewing this. If you happen to be listening on iTunes, 5 stars, BR Dave Meltzer. That's what we would love for you to do. If you can't even be bothered to do that, maybe you're just like, that takes too much work. No problem. Share the podcast with a friend, with a family member, with anybody who loves wrestling or loves listening to people talk about wrestling, because we're going to do a whole lot of that on the Patreon side coming up in just a little bit. In the meantime, I want to thank our guest, James Stone, for his time. I want to thank you, Matt. I want to thank Pickles for going and taking a run and not having that on in the background while we talk. And finally, thank you, our listeners. We love you and appreciate your support. I think that's going to do it this week when it comes to WrestleMedia's Wrasslun show. So until next time, I'm at Adam Kota, that's at Matthew Sukram, and you know what to do. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat.
This has been a presentation of WrestleMedia, where everything is wrestling and wrestling is everything.
Here's what you're missing out on right now over at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. When asked about the Hall of Fame, Scott Steiner said, quote, "Well, I don't deal in fantasy. I don't deal in hypotheticals. Like, where's the Hall of Fame at? It's nowhere. It's in Vince's mind. So it's all that." Want more? Sign up now at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca.